Hi there, welcome back to our training session. Today what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how support would best be served for both yourself and us in order to help you resolve a problem or an issue. So let's say we're pulling a report and I click generate. So now we're waiting. So you pull the report and an error pops up. Please don't click OK. Stop dead in your tracks, because this is what's going to happen. What we generally find is that someone is going to send us an email, to support@Designer Solutions. This is an example of how not to send a request. And that mail is then promptly submitted to my team. There. My team gets that and says, okay, what would you like me to do with that? We don't know what's happened. 9 times out of 10, we find that the individual or the user has clicked on OK and the report's gone. We don't know what's happened. This error has just disappeared. We don't know what's going on. When something happens, you are going to have a pop-up error 9 times out of 10. So what we request you to do here is we request you to say, right, click on print screen, which will then give you this little bar here that will allow me now to take a snippet of this. Or if you don't have that, click on start snipping tool, and then you can say new, and it'll give you exactly the same thing, and you copy that snipping tool there, and that would be a first class way to do it. Then we can go back into our mail, new mail, go into support, please help with report, please help, my report did not print, please see the error below. Now I've copied that into the support error. Now I'm one step closer to understanding what happened in your life. If you really wanted to go that extra mile and just make sure that we knew exactly what was happening. Let's say you didn't get a pop-up error, but for example, your Word or your Excel did not open, or you got a result you weren't expecting, then you could go one step further by doing exactly the same thing, but expanding that to show me what exactly you were pulling at the time. So in other words, the dates and everything else. Be kind to me, pull it over to there so I can still see the result, and then you can do print screen. You can now take a bigger picture of this so I can see exactly on the screen what you were looking for. So now when I send the mail, please see the error below and what I was attempting to pull. Now we can just delete this image, for example, and put in the big image, which then gives me an actual example of what has gone wrong. I see the error and I see what's happening here. Now, error at getSQL, transport level error occurred. I'm going to mail you back immediately, say to you, you had a drop in the internet, which is exactly what we did here, because in order to create an error on my side, I pulled the plug of the internet. Done. It couldn't communicate. So this report failed immediately. So now I can send that to my support team. Then I go get that. It says error at refined SQL joins. So if you really wanted to, you could say, okay, so there's a secondary error that came up. That was this, which basically means it's the same thing. I couldn't connect to the database. I could not join my SQL. So therefore, the object reference, another what I was trying to pull, so the data report current information, object reference is not set to an instance of an object. So in other words, I couldn't relay it. I couldn't match it to anything in the database that I could pull back. But you could then send this one and say, I got a secondary error. This is what it is. And all of these are all to do with the way that the SQL pulled and the fact that we couldn't pull a SQL at that exact time. So let's pull the report again. I'm going to pull with mask values so you actually see what mask values does. And you're going to see here that we've got our report. Now let's say, for example, something in the report seems to be incorrect. Let's say, first of all, here's what it looks like with masked addresses and masked numbers. So you'll see that the report looks very, very different to normal. Now what you're going to see here, let's say, for example, something has gone wrong, and let's go here into the finances or something to this effect, and it gave you a result that you were not expecting. So let's say commission was blank for whatever reason. Then again, you can say here to us, reporting error. Now this helps me understand, okay, we're looking at reports. So immediately my mindset goes to reports. And then you can say here, right, unexpected error occurred. I did not get the commission value printed onto the report. Okay, let me just correct my spelling once again. Unexpected error occurred. I did not get the commission value in the report. Then I would do two things. I'd say, please see the screenshot and the report attached. Okay, so now what I would do here is I'd go high importance. I would then move that out of the way for a second. I would then go print screen. I would highlight that there like that. I'd put that in here. And then to assist the reporting guys, now remember, we've got various things happening on the reports, and I'll show you that shortly. Hang on, let me just save this file. Save as a copy, browse. Let's put that onto my desktop so I can reference it quickly. So what I would do is I would actually send a physical copy with this to the support query. So I'd literally send in the entire report that we printed, so that not only do I see what is happening here, I can actually go to the report. And the reason why that we experience that is that I can now go into here. This tells me exactly what you pulled, but I have embedded in here master data of all the report pulls and sequels that I can then go unembed, and I am able to then go and do this through SQL to see, do I get the same error? Now, this could be a number of things. If one value is not pulling through out of a variety of others, someone may have changed the setup on the product. That's the first thing I'm going to go check. Were there any changes to the product? Did something happen here that did not pull through? Was there a drop in connection perhaps that could have caused this? So we might ask you for a speed test. And these are the small things that we need to look at as well. So these are all the important bits and pieces of information. Now, another thing that happens on reporting when things are slow or whatever the case is that we also ask sometimes to have a screenshot to see what is your current usage on memory, etc. Now, at the moment, I'm not running a hell of a lot at the moment. I haven't got very big spreadsheets open, but again, even a simple little screenshot giving me what your CPU and memory usages are will help me a lot in determining what's going on. If your memory usage is sitting at 80 or 90% when you pull the report, I can almost guarantee that something is going to happen that's going to break the report because you just don't have enough memory, especially on a big report that you're pulling. We always say have at least 10% memory available if you're pulling something like a fund report. So these are important factors to understand when dealing with support and what we're going to ask you to do. So let's say there's a calculation issue or something else that you've noticed that is not right within the reports. Okay, so let's just have a look at something. I've created this. This is not something that normally happens, but I've created an issue here. But I'm going to hide all these columns for a second so that we can look at this as in one whole screen. So I've hidden all the factors, but now what I've done here is that let's say you suddenly have your final pool GP spitting out at 302,156, and I'm comparing that and I'm saying, but hang on, something's not right here. Okay, now your final pool should equal exactly what that is, and it's not equaling that at the moment. So what I would sometimes do here is I'd say, right, that column and this column here are not calculating correctly. because they are separate calculations. Or, for example, you may want to do a simple other calculation, let's say on a financial report where you're deducting your cost to see what your payover is, and that doesn't balance. I would say put in a line here where you send my calc, okay, and you do your calculation and you get back to 4021.74. You say, right, okay, let's mark this one in green. Okay, so you've done a manual calculation here that brings you back to the figure that you were expecting, which is this figure over here, but the report spat out a very odd figure for a specific column. And what again I would do is I would first of all save this file, save a copy, browse. Okay, we'll put that again onto our desktop, and then you're going to obviously initiate an email to us, and you're going to say here reporting calculation error, and then what you're going to do is you can say here hello support, have an issue on the final pool calculation that Synaptic produced. Okay, this is column AL. It does not balance to the risk reserving, and I did my own calculation to cross-reference in column AM. Please see screenshot and attached file. So again, the screenshot is handy for a quick once-off glance to say, maybe we know what's happening, or we can identify it from the screenshot. But should we not be able to identify it from the screenshot, please attach the file as well as a copy to us so that we understand what is going on and we know what to look for. Then again, I can get into the reporting information, I can see what you pulled, all your filters, I can go into my embedded code, I can pull that back out, and I can have a look and say, okay, I might know what's going on here, or I can run some tests. So a couple of things will happen here. If we get a support query, we do not understand what you're saying, or we don't understand why that would have happened, or what's happening is we get the support query and we attempt the test on our side. Let's say, like we did the last one, reporting test error. You got a funny figure that you weren't expecting. The first thing our report or our support guys do is going to pull that report. If that does not happen to them, they're going to phone you and say, right, we need to book an appointment and see what's going on your machine. They are going to check things like your internet speed. They're going to check things about your memory usage. They're going to check that sort of items to rule out that your machine or your infrastructure is not causing the problem here, which may have caused either an imbalance or a drop in internet or something that broke the report. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Then we're going to say to you, pull one. Please pull one so we can witness what's going on. So that just helps us understand, were you perhaps doing something differently to the way we were testing? Are we testing the same way? Are you still getting the same error? Because sometimes freaks occur. Sometimes the database might also just be busy and there might just be a little bit of conflicting information. So effectively there, we're just trying to test to see, is it a recurring error or is it something that happened once and then didn't happen again? If it's a calculation error and we don't understand how you did your balancing calculation, we will phone you and say, hi, sorry, and I'm going to use my friend here, Mrs. Strauss. We don't understand what you've done here. How do we fix it and how do we balance back to what you were doing? Because sometimes that also happens. The logic that you apply may not necessarily be the logic that we're applying, and then we don't meet towards each other. So it's always good to have a one-on-one just to quickly have a look and see, how did you get to what you're looking for? What is the system doing? And then we decide in that space and time who would be correct, what's the right procedure. Does it affect you or does it affect all of our clients? And do we need to create a support ticket for this for everybody and not just yourself? Is it something that may be a calculation that's specific to you? Then we create an else if. So we can split the calculations that you do one thing and the others do something else. So that's basically it. Last point I'm going to touch on here, and then we are done for the support module, is that there is something called an href error. Now, this is something that happens and pops up, and it hasn't today, it pops up while you are attempting to draw an Excel report. So it's once you've said save with password, yes or no, and suddenly it'll pop up this href error. It's called an href because it's literally H, capital R, E, F, and it'll give you an 8000 number behind it. That means that Microsoft, something has gone wrong in Microsoft. It hasn't got something to do with our system particularly. Now, all of our reports we push into Microsoft. We are trying to find alternatives, but because a lot of our clients like to use the CSV data or the Microsoft data in order to manipulate, create reports, create dashboards, do whatever they need to do, they would like to have the raw data. So we push this into Excel or into Word. Now, sometimes the connection between our system and Word or Excel breaks. So what we ask you to do here is please double check by clicking on your taskbar. This is this bar right at the bottom. Right clicking will give you the task manager. Open that up. And then what we ask you to do, once this is refreshed, we ask you to run down the list here, go to E. So look under E here and see if you can see Excel. If there's an Excel thing open and there is no Excel open, get rid of it. Go down to M, Microsoft Excel. So you might see what we call a shadow copy sitting there. Now I've specifically left my Excel open, but you might see this and there's no Excel open. Then you know, hang on, here's a problem. So if you're running a big report or a long report, my suggestion is to close your Excel. Make sure no Excels are open. And before you pull a long report, go Task Manager. So let's just open up my Excel. Let's shut it down. Go into Task Manager. Go down to at least E. Make sure Excel's not running. And then go down to Microsoft. You see it's actually now done it. So now, if I pull a report now, it's actually going to create an href issue. Let's see if I can actually create that while we're online. Let's just quickly do something here. Generate report. No. Okay. So unfortunately, it did not do it for us in this example. It actually pulled the report. But if you're pulling a big report, go into Task Manager, go into your M's, look for Microsoft Excel. If you see one there, shut it down, especially if you've got no Excels open. And I'd always suggest when running a report, a big one, let's say you're running a fund report for a whole year or maybe since inception, I would shut down Excels and Words, not utilize them, and make sure that you allow them to go forward. One final check, just so that we all know, is that sometimes we get blocked due to security reasons from Word itself. So Word or Excel, they both work the same way. Go into your Word occasionally or periodically, click on File, click on Options, click on Add-ins, and then click on your disabled items there at the bottom. Okay, click on Go. If you see one of our reports stuck in here, please click on it and enable it. And that also will stop a whole host of issues happening. Excel works exactly the same way. Any random Excel that you've got open, File, Options, click on Add-ons, go down here, Disabled Items, click on Go, and if you see a financial report or a fund report stuck in here, please click on it and click Enable and then Close. It might mean you have to restart the Excel system, but at least then you've stopped it from blocking us. Now this happens occasionally when you try to print multiple reports at a time, it fails and you keep trying. So if it fails more than twice, Excel automatically blocks it, unfortunately. So it's something to look out for as well. Anyway, that's our support training. I hope that this has helped and I hope it will help you in the future. See you in the next training. Thank you.